Golf in the Cosmos, where physics meets the fairway and the universe takes a swing at your mind. I'm Kevin. We're here in beautiful Mexico. Absolutely beautiful. We avoided the rain, went a little bit south. Got some golf in at Bajamar. If you know, you know. Bajamar, beautiful course just outside of Ensenada. Absolutely beautiful. The closing 4 holes on, I guess it used to be the Oceano 9. Now they turned it into just an 18-hole track. It used to be 27. Bajamar, all on the water. I mean, this is Mexican Pebble, right? But it's not crowded, all right? It's not crowded. It was $130 US to play. Worth every penny, honestly. You know, if you live in the Southern California area, it's totally a hidden gem. Just cross the border, get down there, make sure to get your car insurance, right? Your Mexican car insurance. That's super key. If you get pulled over, you're going to need that. Bring some cash to bribe the federales potentially too. But after all that's said and done, Bajamar, you're on the water, and you are at Mexican Pebble. I'm going to try to show a little clip here of the 15th through 18th hole. Just absolutely beautiful. There's a YouTube video coming soon. It was Breeze versus Kevin. That was kind of the final holes. Absolute beauty on the water. But again, we're here in Mexico. Gotta love international golf, right? I mean, this is a game that crosses borders. That's for sure. Speaking of crossing borders, we have some news on the Live Tour, right? Brooks Koepka has left the Live Tour. This is pretty surprising news, actually, right? That for someone of his stature to join the tour and then to actually leave just within 2 to 3 years, alongside all the talks with the PGA Tour and the Live Tour, supposedly joining up and whatnot, and that seems to have just gotten stalled out. So Brooks seemed to just say, I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm out. Thanks, guys. My contract's running out, and I'm just going to take a leave. The PGA Tour has a 1-year hiatus that he needs to take, and then, the writers are all saying, why not let him back in, right? The PGA Tour should almost waive the 1-year rule and let him back in immediately. We need Brooks Koepka back in form, and we need him, going up against Scheffler, on a weekly basis. I think that's what the golf world wants to see. DeChambeau, his contract's running out too, so some are saying that he has massive amount of leverage to renegotiate. So either DeChambeau's getting the largest check we've ever seen, or he's out too. So cheers to Mexico too, by the way. Great to be here for the new year. Happy New Year. We'll touch back on Live a little more later, but Tiger turned 50 in December, and guess what that means? Tiger is eligible for the Champions Tour. That is what the people want to see. There's majors on Champions Tour that Tiger hinted at interest in playing. He joked that he would do 25 events on the PGA and 25 events on the Champions Tour. Total joke because he's so injured. But we would love that. He's like, that would reach every week, right? He'd be on TV about every week if he did that. It'll be interesting. If he does play a Champions Tour event, it'll be interesting to see the ratings go potentially higher on the Champions Tour for the first time, where those events are being more watched than potentially the PGA Tour. That's just a guess I'm making, But, when Tiger's on TV, people seem to tune in. His last full event with 4 rounds was the Masters July 2024 in July. That was the last time he played 4 full rounds. And then I believe that summer, it may have been July, when he played. That was his final event where he did the Open Championship, and he ended up withdrawing. So we've been missing Tiger. I know he's been very involved with his son Charlie. His son Charlie is a junior in high school, so a lot of people are wondering where is he going to play golf. There's a famous quote of Tiger saying, He wished he stayed at Stanford longer. So will that play into Charlie's future? Right? Will Charlie play all 4 years of college golf? Some have been hinting at who's going to be the next Ryder Cup captain. Some argue that it's too time-consuming for too little reward, too much risk. But certainly the Walker Cup, if his son, can be on that team, there's a lot of people saying that Tiger would certainly jump in to be the coach or the captain rather of the of the Walker Cup, especially if Charlie's playing. So I could definitely see that happening in the near, very near future. But big question out there, right? Will we see Tiger in a Champions Tour event in 2026? 2026 seems to be a great year for golf, right? A lot playing out with the potential of at least Brooks Koepka potentially committing or getting back in to the PGA Tour. I think that's a big storyline. Does DeChambeau stay on LIV or not? Are people going to keep watching LIV? I know a lot of people that are really enjoying it. I haven't come around to it fully yet. But a major aspect is the OWGR, the World Golf Rankings, right? They're not getting points, and that's a major problem for eligibility purposes for majors. Now, Trevor Immelman, who is the chairman, he recently made some comments regarding LIV, and it seems that they're heavily reviewing the application from LIV. So, he says we remain committed to the OWGR's mission, which requires honoring the meritocracy woven into the professional game. Immelman said in a statement, as such, discussions have been regular and remain ongoing. To be clear, progress has been made, but there is no decision to share at this time. We will continue to work closely with the LIV Golf as it continues to evolve and ensure its application is handled with fairness, integrity, and consistency, as stated previously. So the question's out there, but it seems there's been progress. LIV has adjusted how they handle the 54 holes. That was a major issue potentially. There's also an issue how it's so invitational. It's very hard to earn a spot onto LIV by just playing. That's also an issue with the World Golf Ranking points. But we had spoken about that earlier. How some of these guys who joined LIV have just plummeted. They're not gaining points on a weekly basis, so they're not eligible for majors, and you start seeing them less and less, and that really hurts the quality of the product of what golf is. So I get it, right? These guys had to leave. They took their paycheck, but then you throw in that they're not getting these World Golf Ranking points. It starts to weigh on the overall golf product. So that's definitely been an issue, and it seems like, a huge step for LIV would be if they started getting those points, right? If that application got approved, they started gaining points on the World Golf Ranking, that would enable those, first off, it would give those players something else to play for. It would also enable them to be eligible for other majors. So certainly that's something that is at play. But back to Bajamar, what a great course. We started off playing from the black, 7,200 yards. That was probably a mistake. I was playing with my buddy Breeze, and after 2 holes, we're realizing from the blacks, these tee shots, we don't have the distance, right? You almost need 300 carry to make it make any sense. I mean, this was truly tipped out. I think I just maybe don't play enough courses that are when they're black that are truly the blacks. I really had no business doing it. So on the 3rd hole, we switched to blues. I was a little bit fearful about my handicap because I had to switch it to blue. So, you can't switch hole by hole which tees you play from. So I started off with a double and a quadruple. So I'm carrying that score into, hole 3, where then I then switched to the blues. So I'm going into their 6 over par, but I'm glad I did. It ended up working out. Then I all of a sudden caught fire from the blues right, hitting, the drive 260, 270 sets you up perfectly from a 6,600-yard course, especially where you can kind of see your landing zone. Some of these black tees placement, it almost turns into a blind shot, and this was our first time playing Bajamar, and it was very difficult to aim some of these shots, especially when you're barely getting the carry. But ended up 10 over, so went 4 over on the next 16 holes. Ended up shooting, a couple lower than what my handicap would have been at from the blues. So overall, the right decision to just, move the tee boxes up and change it on the grint so that, the handicap understood that it, thought it was from blues the whole time, even though I started off, 6 over, 4 birdies and an eagle. I mean, just one of those rounds, for some reason when I'm playing internationally, something about the vibe of the game, just, you can sometimes catch fire when you kind of leave your kind of home course, go somewhere else, start appreciating the game more. Sometimes a little magic can happen out there. Also the tide was really high. So, next week my buddies asked me if I wanted to play, a round, and I checked the tides. It was low tide, so I'm not going to be able to make it. But if it's high tide, then I'll be able to make it out there now. But there's some sort of pull, that's happening, when the tide's high, that the ball seems to just want to fall into the hole more. I don't know. We'll never know the answers to why you played well. You can always kind of look for them, but just when magic happens, you just let it happen. And it seems, when you're getting 4 birdies and an eagle, it's, you can't stop. You can't even turn that off. It's just happening, right? It's just happening. Like the sun goes up and goes down, and of course that sets your day up. You have a great day. I was emotionally drained, yesterday, certainly. I definitely needed to go to bed early. I was, when you get 4 or 5 birdies and an eagle, it puts you through the ringer, right? It takes a lot out of you. But check out those videos are coming later today, and really, really impressive coming down to beautiful Mexico. And I'd say it's worth it if you're in the SoCal area. It's kind of a hidden gem. And I know some people do know about it, but I don't think everyone realizes that you kind of have a Mexican Pebble Beach down here in Bajamar near Ensenada. So cheers to those guys who set that course up and are out there. Appreciate them. So back to to Tiger Woods, right? Tiger is eligible for the Champions Tour. We don't know, yet if he's going to be healthy enough. So I'm really hoping we do see him out there, right? I'm hoping we see him out there in a couple events, maybe the majors. That would just be the best gift for us all. Now, we're in 2026 now, so guess what's coming up? Augusta is coming. So early odds here, Scotty Scheffler is plus 300, McIlroy plus 500, Schauffele plus 1,100, DeChambeau plus 1,200, and John Rahm 14-1. Fleetwood up there 16-1. Ludwig 18-1. Morikawa looks like also 18-1. Justin Thomas 25-1. That's pretty good. And then we go to Spieth. I don't know if Spieth has it in him to win another Masters, but those are the early odds on the Masters coming in April. First major of the year. Now I feel, now that it's 2026, we can start, thinking about that a little more, looking forward to that. But the golf season's about to pick up steam. Not surprising, Scheffler's in there. Scheffler, McIlroy, Schauffele, and then you have DeChambeau, who's of course on Live. Shambo and Rahm. It's hard to bet on Scheffler because it just doesn't pay well anymore. There was a year, I think, when Tiger was winning like every other tournament, and the bookies just didn't know what to do anymore with that. So that's your kind of Masters preview. Um, you know, some of the writers have argued the greatest, one of the recent greatest Masters of all time was 2019. Tiger's win in 2019. I have a good story behind that, right? I was in Washington D.C. I actually had a buddy who was at the Masters in 2019, and we were talking a lot on Friday, Saturday. You're not allowed to bring your cell phone in Augusta, so there's like a payphone apparently that's in Augusta. So he made like one phone call, kind of one mysterious phone call. I answered. It said Georgia is calling. I answered. He said, "Hey man, I might have an extra ticket. If you can fly down, I'll get you in. I can get two of you guys in." And I was with another buddy. I was with Parbe. And me and Parbe, we hang up. We realize, right, he's not going to be able to text us. He's not going to be able to talk to us too much. But that one call, we looked up flights. We had a route. We were going to go to Atlanta, rent a car, drive to Augusta. They had a house and everything. Little did we know what he would witness on Sunday. One of the greatest regrets of my life, truly to this day, was not buying that flight, getting down to Atlanta, renting that car, driving to Augusta, getting to the house, and getting in to the Masters to eventually watch Tiger win on Sunday. Right, Tiger's last major potentially. My buddy was there and saw it, and it truly life-changing for everyone there. But I was relatively close to being able to witness that myself, and it truly remains one of the greatest regrets to this day, of my life, that I got that phone call. There was a way. I know if I showed up there, I would have gotten in. I would have found a way. So truly, 2019 Masters, we haven't had anything like that since, right? To watch the greatest in the game, be able to beat out some of the best players that day, it's just truly unbelievable. I don't know if you caught the PNC, that kind of father-son tournament where they play with family. Obviously, we didn't get Tiger and Charlie this year. Typically, Bernhard Langer, had previously beat out, Tiger and Charlie, I think by one stroke previously. This year, I believe the Kuchar family won. So, Kuchar has a funny history. I guess he didn't tip his caddy in Mexico. So, tip your caddies, right? I mean, that story's followed him for the last, 5, 6, 7 years, and he still gets shit for it. So, he won in Mexico and picked up a caddy for the week, and I guess he didn't fully pay him out. So check out that story if you haven't seen that. But let's talk a little bit about what did the PGA do once LIV started, right? What kind of changes did the PGA Tour make? They guaranteed money. They made signature events to guarantee money, right? That was something that players were lacking. Right, they made it so that there are no-cut events, right? That guarantees money to certain players to keep them engaged on the tour. Why do people hate LIV so much? Why did that? And I really think it's an American thing. I think we have issues with Saudi Arabia, or we did. There was a journalist. A journalist living in America that was potentially murdered by Saudi Arabia. That created a big political rift. So we, when Saudi Arabia starts a tour, also we just don't want, the PGA is our thing. We don't want someone else to start a tour that's bigger than ours. I get it. But now we had Tony Krasinski on last week. Learned a lot about like the NIL in college. He made a great point about, these college players are just mercenaries now, right? They're just working for money. What's the difference between a golfer? Why should the golfer be loyal to a tour when it kind of comes down to just the money ultimately? So I kind of get it, right? College players are doing the same thing, right? No one seems to balk at that, right? So you throw in kind of the political stuff, and we start to be a little bit anti-live, but ultimately, why aren't the golfers mercenaries too? They kind of are, right? They're just following the money as well. I mean, wouldn't you want to play for in the tournament that pays you the most? That's ultimately, what it all comes down to. So the PGA Tour definitely made some changes, and it also, those changes made it harder for guys like Andrew, who I usually pod with. He's a +2 handicap. He's trying to get on tour eventually. If he can find that place, he will take that advantage, that opportunity, take advantage of that opportunity to get on that tour, to really get on any tour. But he's going to follow the money too. I would tell him to join Live. I'd tell him to join PGA, whatever he can qualify for. He's advanced into some Monday qualifiers as well from the pre-qualifier. So, I mean, he's gotten close. But by the tour making these signature events, it really does close the door out to a little bit more, from this idea of meritocracy, like as if everything's open. There's just less tournaments that are open, if you will, anymore. And the U.S. Open, for example, ran by the USGA, is technically you can sign up for it. If you have a low enough handicap, you can sign up for a local qualifier. Then you go to a regional qualifier. Then you go to the national qualifier. You got to be on fire. I mean, you got to be. There's a few spots, right? But someone will get those spots. So that technically makes it open. But again, the PGA Tour just doesn't have as many tournaments that have that pathway to get, for an outside person to play well and to get into that tournament. So certainly Liv has changed the game a little bit. It's really interesting to see Brooks leave. I mean, I really think that's big news, because who's going to leave next, right? What's going to happen next? That's to be seen, right? And then you have all the changes the PGA Tour made. Right, you have Tiger's kind of new TGL. I guess they did it at SoFi recently, but this is that kind of simulator. But then it turns into like kind of a live green. So I've tried to watch it. It's it's hard. It's hard to really get into that. I was more interested in the Golf Channel games. It was like a speed golf. We showed that. Excuse me. We showed that on the last pod. Watching the speed golf was kind of interesting, because it was a little athleticism at play, a different type of athleticism than we're used to seeing in the game of golf, right? They're sprinting to the ball, they're trying to hit the ball, they're getting points based on the amount of time it takes them to get the ball in the hole. That to me was a little more entertaining than the TGL league, right, where they're hitting on a sim and then they're going to like some sort of green that changes and it has a bunker. So the game is certainly changing. I think we're going to see more and more I really think we'll see more of that Golf Channel games idea in 2026. Certainly they use the off season, in the winter to experiment a little bit. And we'll see how the first major, how people tune in to the majors this year, and kind of where that looks against Liv. I think it's a big year for all the tours, and with some of the players moving around. Speaking of that, we have a new page up on golfinthecosmos.com for the home budget sim. We call it the budget sim. Our buddy Miller built a sim in his garage for under $1,500. So check out on our page. If you go to golfinthecosmos.com, on the left, there's going to be a link for budget sim. We have all the links there to get. He really did all the research. He figured out what he needed to get a budget sim and set it up. It's pretty cool. There's some videos on our social channels of that setup. Pretty impressive. I've played. We sometimes run a live game of Survivor. Survivor, I don't know if we invented it or not, but this idea that if you don't hit the fairway or you don't hit the green, you lose the club. So it's interesting. We'll start off and the strategy plays out. If you hit your 3-wood, you miss the fairway. the 3-wood's gone for the rest of the round. Last man standing with a club wins, right? So you're trying to hit fairways and greens more than anything, because that sim program, you're not putting, right? So once you hit the green, it's over. So you're really playing for accuracy. He uses the Rapsodo. I'm impressed with it, right? Obviously, that's not a $50,000 setup, so it's not, going to be perfect, but if I pull it, it pulls it. If I slice it, it slices it. If I, hit it straight, if I feel like I hit it straight, it does go straight. So it's definitely it's definitely impressive for under $1,500. I don't think that was possible 10 years ago. The technology just wasn't there. It runs it off an iPad. So again, check out on golfonthecosmos.com. We have some new merch as well. A new mission patch is coming soon. But especially that budget sim, there's been a lot of interest on that video that we posted. A lot of people asking lots of details about the sim, and I didn't realize how many people are trying to build these things. But it makes sense, right? Not everyone has like great weather. We're lucky enough down here in Baja, Mexico. Early January and the sun's out. It's not raining. Be able to catch a surf later back here, so I can't complain. But why not have a sim, right? I mean, if it can work, if you can get some swings in and you don't have to go to the course and buy a bucket, why not? So especially at that price point, starting to get pretty accessible for the general public to get a sim. So this sim life is interesting. I've been going to a sim a few times, basically once a week. Been playing that Survivor game or just playing 9 holes. It kind of enhances the game a little bit. You might be able to hit the sim, and then you have a tee time the next day. Hopefully the tide's high, but it gives you at least some feel, like you hit some shots, like you kind of feel like you played the day before. You don't fully get the short game aspect, but sometimes that's all you need is just taking some full swings, getting a little bit warmed into the game. So check out that sim stuff. It seems like it's really gaining traction, right? That idea of that you can build a sim in your garage, or maybe a shed, or maybe an extra bedroom. I'd say the only downside is like he can't hit driver because he's too tall and the ceiling's just not tall enough. So we just don't hit drivers. We do like 3-wood and below, but that's not the worst thing. I mean, if you can work on those other clubs, other than driver, that's probably, can probably help your game as well. So, yeah, check out the Sim Life. More to come on that. There'll be more videos. Andrew's going to give some lessons on the sim as well. We're going to start a series there. Again, check out the YouTube channel. Great video with Siggy, the microdose challenge. That one's really funny. That one has been picking up steam as well. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. Just gonna enjoy Mexico. Go make a margarita here. Catch a surf. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks for your support. This has been a great ride. We're going to keep it going this year in 2026. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Come on over, say goodbye. I only had it come through twice. You're the only one with the key to my